Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom.
Shana Tova.
Oh, let's try that again, one at a time. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
That was fabulous. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, you guys are good. One more thing. If you're someone who has a cell phone, let's turn it off. Because you want to show the kids you're with that your cell phone doesn't ring during the Torah reading. Because it will. And if you are someone who can read, I'll try to keep you on the right page in our prayer book. We've got songs and prayers and a story and Torah reading. I even have a kind of a magic pomegranate here. We'll find out about that later. A magic carpet. Who knows? So for anyone I don't know, I'm Rabbi Green. This is my friend Alan Goodis. And we're going to start by singing, because it's so good that we're all here together. So let's sing. And if you don't know the words, just sing La.
Hine matov umanayim shevet achim yam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim yam yachad. You sound so good. Let's all sing that again. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim yam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim yam yachad. You sing back in English. How good it is, how good it, how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim yam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim yam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim yam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim yam yachad.
We are here for not just one holiday, but two holidays. What are the two holidays we're here for? I got a hand right there. What's one holiday? Yom Kippur. What's the other holiday? Go ahead, real loud. Shabbat. Every so often that happens, that we have two holidays that come together, like Yom Kippur and Shabbat. And they're kind of like each other, believe it or not, but not exactly. So we are going to open our prayer books to page 76, and just hold our hands there for a moment before we sing anything. Page 76. So, Yom Kippur, Shabbat is a day of rest, a day of kind of breathing, because when God created the world, God stopped. And Yom Kippur is a day on which we say we're sorry. We think about the things we could have done better, and we try to do them better. Here's the funny, crazy thing, is that we have more than one day of a year to do that. You can say you're sorry to people any day of the year, but Yom Kippur is the super big one, that we come into the sanctuary and we think about the stuff we've done wrong together, not just to say like, oh, I feel bad, but to say, I feel bad and I want to do stuff better. So throughout our service and our story today, let's think about the things that we can do better in the new year. So first we're going to sing our opening prayer, Baruch Hu, or it's also called Am I Awake in this version. So I'm going to invite you, if you're able to stand, to please stand. And this kind of gets us ready for the rest of our prayers. It literally says, am I awake? Am I ready for this?
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai. 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 Yalla lai lai lai.
Our next prayer is about listening. It actually says listen. It says Shema. So I'm going to ask you all, when I count to 3, to close your eyes and to listen as we sing Shema. We can hear other people's voices. We can hear their breathing. We might hear laughter or tears. If we can imagine what we would hear outside. I was just outside and I heard the lake and the wind and the trees. All different things that remind us that God is within us, people, and God is outside in the world. The Shema says, listen, Jewish people, let's listen and let's think about God. The words are on page 82, if you'd like them. And then I'm going to count to 3 in a moment so we can close our eyes for the prayer. And then after we're done singing, you can open them. Echad, shtayim, shalosh. Let's close our eyes.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may sit down. So, our next prayer is about miracles, and it's about saying thank you. So do me a favor, raise your hand, no matter what your age is. Raise your hand if any of your parents or grandparents ever told you you should say thank you to people when they do something nice. Okay, I'm pretty sure every hand in the sanctuary is going to go up here, unless some child is in denial. Okay, you can put your hands down. I had parents who said I had to write thank you notes for pretty much everything. So if you have those parents too, we can talk later. So, Micha Mocha says thank you to God by our ancestors when they got out of Egypt, when they were slaves in Egypt and they were leaving and they were free, and they said, God, this is no ra, this is awesome. It's a really big use of awesome, not just like, oh, that ice cream was awesome. And so to think about what is something big that we want to say thank you to God for. Maybe us, our families, everything beautiful outside, that we have food to eat, our health, any number of things. So I invite you to think about something which is awesome. Just for a moment, just think quietly. And now let's turn to page 86 and sing together Micha Mocha. And it has a very special melody, right, Alan? It's a melody that's like a hint.
We'll sing Yai Lai Lai first, just so we can get the melody in our ears and then hopefully in our voices when we sing, like this. Yai Lai 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 Lai. Yai Lai 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 Lai. Yai Lai, Yai Lai Lai Lai. Yai Lai Lai Lai. Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai. Micha Mocha Nedar B'Kodesh. Nora Tehilot Kosei Feleh. Adonai
melody. Da 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 da. Anyone ever heard that before? Adults, I know you have, right? Well, you might have even, kids may have heard it. Lishana tova tikatevu. We can also sing Shema that way, Baruch Hu that way. That is your hint. If you're a detective, that would be your big hint to tell you it's Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. Da, 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 da. So on that theme of saying thanks for things that are good, let's turn to page 103. 103. And let us read the prayer in the yellowish box together for readers. We thank you, God, for the year that has passed. We tried to do our best, but our best was not always good enough. At times we aimed too high and missed or forgot ourselves and did things we knew we should not do. We are sorry for our mistakes. A new year starts with this high holy day season. Help us, O God, to do the best we can with the gifts you have given us. Help us to use our strengths and our talents to make the world a better place for all. So our next prayer, our song is about, it says L'dor Vador, from generation to generation. So before we sing it with Alan, I'm going to ask kids to turn to the adults you came with and ask them, what is something we do in our family that maybe our parents or grandparents or even great-grandparents did, something that's come through the generations, adults. Maybe it's a recipe, maybe there's somebody's named for someone, maybe something you do on a holiday or a birthday. So kids, ask the grown-ups, what's something we do that an older generation did before me? It can be super small or super big. After they answer your question, let's turn to page 105. And you can continue that conversation later at breakfast, dinner. Let's sing together L'dor Vador, page 105.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. L'dor Vador nagid god lecha. L'dor Vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation. L'dor Vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way. And the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. L'dor Vador nagid god lecha. L'dor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. L'dor vador, these lips will praise your name.
Now, children in the room, we're going to ask you to let the adults you're with put a hand on your head or your shoulders or give you a hug. And adults, we're going to invite you to turn to page 107. And in your own space, so don't read it together. I think you can read the words in the yellow box, may you be like, or you can give them your own blessing. What do you pray for your child, grandchild, niece, nephew, friend, loved one this afternoon on this holiday? You can read the words on 107 or speak what you'd like to say from your heart. And say it out loud to the kids. And we turn to page 11 and we sing a traditional blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless us and keep us. Let's see if we can sing together. The Hebrew is there and it's written out in transliteration. Page 111, our traditional blessing of our children.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha. Ve'asem lecha shalom. Ve'asem lecha shalom.
Page 114, and I'm going to ask everyone who's able to please stand. If it's too difficult, you may sit. We're at the top of page 114. This is a very special prayer just for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We start out with God is like a king, God is like a queen, Avinu Malkeinu. Help us compare God to things we understand. God is like all of these things, and God is more than all of these things. Let's read together our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have missed the mark before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families. Avinu Malkeinu, help us bring an end to sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, help us to write our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Anenu va'anenu, Kiyem banu ma'asim, Aseh imanu, Tzedaka v'chesed, Aseh imanu, Tzedaka v'chesed. la'anenu, ki ein banu masim.
So another very special thing we do on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is we read from the Torah. So I am going to unroll the Torah up here. There are a few adults who have said they're going to help me hold the Torah. And I'm going to invite children who would like to see the Torah up close to come sit on the floor right here. Adults, please keep the eye on your children. It's hard for me to keep an eye on 100 children and read Torah. Off the steps, off the steps. Okay, I don't want anyone to fall on someone else. We're going to sit on the floor and face this way. Okay, we're not going to sit on the steps so nobody's kicking anybody else, okay? Okay, it's a thing.
As
okay, adults who are helping,
prepare
come.
the Torah for reading, invite everybody to turn to page 120.
Okay.
On page 120, you'll see a little blue box with the word sweet as honey, which tells us that words of Torah are sweet to us like honey on our tongue. We sing like this. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav mitzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our
Aaron, put the
tongue.
clothing back on it because I'm going right.
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav
Adults are welcome to sit. I know the Torah is out, but you can sit.
la'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Awesome. Raise your hand if you've ever been this close to the Torah. Oh, a lot of people. Excellent. Some people were here last week doing that too, or other than. Super. So I'm going to read, so check this out. This is the most of the Torah over here that Ivy's holding. It starts with Genesis and goes through part of Deuteronomy, and this is the very end that Matthew's holding over here. It's going to end in not so long. I'm going to read from the book of Deuteronomy, and I'm going to read, you like Deuteronomy? Excellent. Whoa. We have a Deuteronomy fan right here. Excellent. If you can say Deuteronomy. You like Deuteronomy too? Oh, good. Okay. So I'm going to read from a Torah portion called Nitzavim, and it says that all the Jewish people were there together to say, yea, God, we're going to follow the mitzvot. And it says, I'm going to tell you who was there, but let's just practice something. So raise your hand if you are in kindergarten. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you're in first grade. Raise your hand if you're in second grade, third grade, preschool, older than third grade. Okay, raise your hand if you're wearing pants. Raise your hand if you're wearing a skirt. Raise your hand if you're wearing sparkles or something about a football or baseball or basketball or other team. Okay, great. So basically you're all here and you're all kind of different. That's what was going on in the Torah. So we're going to listen super carefully. Adults, I need your help for the Torah blessings. And you guys can listen, and I'm going to tell you what's going on when I'm reading Torah. I'll translate it. So let's try the blessings. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Join me with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torah. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Can you guys see a little? Can you guys see? You can. Okay. If you're on the very ends, you can stand too. Okay. Here goes. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem. You stand here today, all of you. Lifnei Adonai Elohechem, before God. Roshechem, shiftechem, zichnechem. So the heads of your tribes, the really big people with titles, the old people, b'shotrechem, the protectors, kol ish Yisrael, all the Jewish people. Tapchem, kids. Nashechem, women. V'gercha asher b'kerev machanecha. And even the strangers, the people who are visiting. Mechotev etzecha, the people who cut the wood for fires. They had fires then. Shoev memecha, the people who get the water from the well. La'ovracha b'vrit Adonai Elohecha uvalato asher Adonai Elohecha koretim hayom. All the people who are here to make a deal, a covenant with God. Lama'an hikim otcha hayom lo la'am. V'hu yehiyeh lo le'Elohim ka'asher diber lo kasher nishba la'avotecha la'Avraham li'Yitzchak li'Yaakov. God saying, you guys are here to make an agreement with me, just like I promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents before you. Something like that. And wait, there's one more really important. It's v'lo idchem levadchem anochi koret et habrit hazot ve'et ha'olah hazot ki et asher yeshno po imanu omed hayom lifnei Adonai Elohecha ve'et asher einenu po imanu hayom. Roll it up. So basically, God says it's not just the people who stood there, but it's everybody who comes after you. So guess what? They stood and said, we are going to accept the Torah, and guess what? Everyone who comes after us. So that's us, guys. We've been accepted to say we're going to do mitzvot. We're going to do things that are kind to other people. Like we have a very important commandment in Torah that says, "V'ahavta l're'echa kamocha," love your neighbor as yourself. So kids, stay right there. We're going to just roll the Torah, and then I have a story.
Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Ready for a story? Wait, were you guys ready for a story? Oh, good. Okay. So once upon a time, there were three brothers. How can you know it from the first line? There are a lot of stories that start that way. Give me a chance. There were three stories who loved going on adventures. Raise your pinky if you love going on adventures. Okay, pinky's down. They decided to go on three separate trips. They went in three different directions. One went to the east, one went to the west, and one went to the south. They didn't have like Michigan to tell them that was east, but they knew it. And then afterwards, the brothers met. And they each came back and showed their brothers what they brought back. The oldest brother brought a magic mirror. You think you can just see yourselves, right? He looked through it and he could see far, far away, not just his own face. The next brother found a magic carpet on his trips. And he said, check this out. His magic carpet would take him anywhere he wanted to go. It was a flying carpet. Kind of like Aladdin, exactly. And the youngest brother found a magic pomegranate. A pomegranate is a special fruit. And the thing about this pomegranate is the tree he got it off of had one pomegranate, but when he picked it, another one popped up magically. So this was a super magic pomegranate. And the brothers were super excited to see what their other brothers brought. So the brother who brought the mirror, okay guys, shh. The brother who brought the mirror looked in the mirror, the looking glass, and he looked to the far, far edges of the kingdom, and he said, oh no, there's a princess there who's very sick. And the father of the king had looked to get all sorts of people to help him. And he said, whoever can help my princess can have half my kingdom. So what happened was the brother said, we should go. So the brother with the magic carpet said, guess what? We'll fly there. And the three brothers somehow fit on this carpet. I don't know how. And they flew off. And the other brother with the pomegranate heard a voice that reminded him and said, magic pomegranate. So they all went and they visited the princess, and they got there. And the young man, the brother with the magic pomegranate takes it out and he cuts it open. I'm not going to cut it right now. Pomegranates get a little messy, but they taste yummy if you've never had one. And he took out some of the little red kernels. They look almost like jewels, and fed them to the princess. And soon the princess got up. She felt stronger and she was healthy again. And the king said, the man who saved my daughter will marry her and have my kingdom. So the brothers started to fight. Raise your pinky if you've ever fought with a brother or a sister or a cousin. Yeah, me too. Okay, fingers down. That's okay. Sometimes we fight with our friends. But we shouldn't, but we do. So the oldest brother said, we wouldn't have known about the princess and made her all better if we didn't have my magic mirror. And the brother with the magic rug said, what do you think? We wouldn't have gotten there without my magic rug. And the pomegranate owning brother said, she ate some of my fruit. So the brothers argued, and the king could not decide. So he asked his daughter, the princess. And the princess said, I'll ask them each a question. She said to the oldest brother, is your mirror any different since you used it to help me? What do you think the brother said? It's no different. It looks the same. It's unchanged. And then she said to the brother who had the rug, is your rug any different other than maybe a little mud from your brother's shoes? He said, no. But then she turned to the third brother and said, but your pomegranate, is it unchanged? Is it changed since you helped me? And he said, no, it's changed, right? It used to be whole, and now it's open, and the fruit isn't all there. I gave some of it to you. So that's it. The princess said, that's it. This is the brother who gets half the kingdom because he gave up something of himself to help me. So let's think about it. We can give of ourselves. We might give some fruit to somebody. Has anyone ever made soup or dinner for somebody who was sad or who was sick? Has anyone ever made cookies for somebody? Has anyone ever picked up the phone and FaceTimed or called a grandma or a grandpa or an aunt or an uncle? Anyone go visit a neighbor who lives by themselves? There are all sorts of things that we can do to give of ourselves. That means that we take some of our time and we might cook them something or go visit them and talk to them and do all sorts of things. So I'm going to invite all of the children to go back to your adults. And adults, talk for a couple moments about what your family could do to give of yourselves to help someone else in this new year. So adults, have a moment with the children you brought about what is something that you all can do to give of yourselves. Visiting someone, talking to someone, bringing them cookies, saying hello, shoveling snow, who knows? So those are conversations that continue. I invite you to turn back up here because we're going to sing in a moment as we conclude our service. But first, just a reminder. On Yom Kippur, we do say we're sorry, and we can do that all year. So we can keep doing that. And we can say, how can I do things that are kinder and nicer and give of ourselves, just like the brothers in the story, to help other people? So let us turn and sing our closing song, but before we do, I'm going to ask everyone, When you leave the sanctuary, please bring your prayer books to the back, to the tables. That saves a lot of work for our ushers. And adults, there are 2 big pods in our north parking lot. One is for Cradles to Crayons, and one is for the Ark. Cradles to Crayons collects new and gently used children's stuff, lots of it, clothing, books, toys, school supplies. And the Ark is a social service agency that provides food and medicine and toiletries to Jews. This is a fabulous activity to do with children. Go to the grocery store, make a list and think of the things, and shop for kosher, non-perishable foods and toiletries, and bring them back and put them in the pod. It's a great thing to do, and you can have all sorts of other conversations if you'd like about finances and economics and all that, but most importantly in this moment about tzedakah. So I want to say thank you so much and Shana Tova, and let us close in singing. If you'd like to stand, please do.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, Gamar Chatima Tova. May we be written, inscribed for a good year, a new year of peace. Thank you for joining us. Have a good rest of the day and a meaningful fast for those who are fasting.